Here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for our final round of the day. It all comes down to this at the ESL Katowice Royale for the duos and all these Polish competitors here. They've been grinding away all day. We've been grinding away all day, but now we've just got one game left to decide our duos champion. Speedy, Martin, it's all come down to this. We have so many potential duos still in contention to pick up that $10,000 and pick up that W. There's a couple of players that I know both of you have got your eye on, though.
Yeah, so we have Wilco and Monkey. We've seen a lot about them. We haven't really talked about them too much. They've been performing really well, so I expect to see them pulling something really cool in this last game here.
What about yourself?
They've been going under the radar. You know, they've been getting the kill or the elimination points. They've been getting the placement points, but we haven't really had the opportunity to observe them endgame. But we're definitely gonna pay more attention to them this time around.
When we talk about how many, potential duos we still have in contention, 6 games so far, 6 different victors. So we'll have a look at those stats and see exactly how the standings are at the moment, just so that you guys at home know exactly how we're standing, who is still in contention and who might be slightly out of contention as well. But you're never out of contention, are you? Especially with those 5 eliminations still on the board.
Absolutely.
5 points, excuse me, for an elimination. Let me get mine. And there are the standings there. You can see at the top, Richard and Mozart, 306 points. But look how close it is at the top. The 2 gentlemen that you mentioned, Wilco and Monk, 300, Smiley and Sajimon, and 291. So, any of those top 5 with a half-decent game here could quite happily take home that first place.
That first place position is within grasp of all those teams in the top 5 situation.
It's incredibly close. I thought it would be a bit more of a distance with the points here, but yeah, it looks like a lot of teams can take it home.
Yeah, they certainly can. You can see, we're even looking down to, Jarkos and Philip. They're still in contention. A big game here, 65 points for the Victory Royale. A couple of eliminations to pop on top of that. Still very much there for them to take, but it's going to take one of those monster games. We haven't yet seen a duo have that monster game today. Maybe this final game of the day is where we see someone just pop out and pop off.
So if a team really wants to get into the money, so to speak, they definitely want to go for more eliminations. Getting first place is not going to be enough for some of these teams. They want to get as many eliminations on the board, as many points on the board in this final game to put themselves in the money.
We should be seeing a lot more eliminations then, you think? A lot more action going on.
Absolutely. I am definitely excited to see this game. A lot more W key going to be taking on instead of that S key that we've been seeing in the early games. I can understand it in the early games. We want to get as many points as possible, placement points, elimination points, but now it's down to crunch time. They have to hold that W key, and they have to hold it hard.
As you mentioned earlier, these players are pretty much used to playing the placement games, but it's time for them to come out of their comfort zone if they want to bring this home. And yeah, I can't wait to see some actual W key.
Yeah, I want to see full W key from these guys. Also, what I want to do is hear from you guys at home as well. Get your predictions in. Use that hashtag ESL Katowice Royale. Let us know who you think's going to win. You've seen the standings. You've seen where these duos are lining up. And obviously, I'm sure there's a few fan favorites at home as well who are going to get a few cheeky tweets coming in. Let us know. There's a few people in the crowd as well, obviously showing their support. Love to hear that. But gentlemen, I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Who do you think's taking away that first place spot?
I'm not sure.
Deep breath from both of you. I love that.
Yeah. So I would say, my guess is Wilco and Monkey. I really think so. But my favorite is Lothar and Noisy because he's my teammate, Noisy. So I really want to see them pull something off. I'm not quite sure. I saw them on 10th place, so I'm not quite sure if they can make it up to number 1.
It would have to be a monster game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they would have to kill half the lobby.
Yeah,
eliminate.
You never know. You never know. It could well happen. What about you, Speedy? How are you feeling?
After that minigun play from Rilka, I really want to see him in the top 10 minimum. I think those types of clutches should be rewarded, and I definitely hope that he is rewarded in this final game.
Well, you can see the players on your screen at the moment. You can see on your screens exactly what they are playing for as well. Those 2 trophies sitting there waiting, begging to be picked up by one of these duos. And after what has been a very long day, gentlemen, it all comes down to this final game. I think I'm more nervous probably than a lot of the players are at the moment, because you never want to see one of these top teams go out early, do you? That's the kind of thing that they have to do. The early game is so important for some of these duos going in. They need to pick up the limbs, they need to force the pace. But imagine being caught on the wrong end. If you're in that top 2 spot at the moment and you get eliminated early on from a team who's having to be hyper aggressive and push kills, your game's over and you just got to sit there and watch the rest of the lobby as you're kind of like, what just happened? Well, here we go then, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for our final game of the day. It's round number 7. Gentlemen, for the final time today, take it away.
Thank you, Onset. So it looks like we had a bus route from Paradise over to Lazy Links. A little bit of a rough drop for anyone who wanted to go Frosty Flights. They're going to take about 45 seconds to reach there, but anyone over in Paradise is going to have an early drop. So that's going to be really advantageous for them.
Yep. So we've seen these teams sticking to their drop spots, but do you think some of these teams will just go for, as we mentioned, they want to go for eliminations now, right? So do you think they will change it up a little bit, maybe go more people tilted more than usual?
Yeah, those teams in the top 5 currently are definitely at risk of losing, some of those prizing pools. And they definitely want to play a lot more safe, a lot more passive disengage whenever they can. They don't want to put their, entire earnings at risk. By getting knocked out of top 5.
Yeah, that's right. And we see tilted here. Quite some teams, not as many as I thought there would be, but still a lot of them. Oh, we have a skirmish going on, a little fight.
And it looks like Gioski's about to eliminate his opponent right here. That was a really quick cleanup. We got here when his teammate or his opponent went down, and then he easily cleaned up the
Looks
duo.
like he lost his friend in the process, Nero. There.
Yeah.
Didn't really get to...
He lasering retreat from the low ground using an SMG angle, and then the final duo, his partner, trying to turtle as best as he can here in the red brick building, dropping down. It's Creetrab, dropping down and trying to make himself as unpredictable as possible, making sure that they can't easily find him, but they're still on the hunt here, trying to locate him. He keeps going down lower, and the pickaxe. Disrespect to the pump.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I just love seeing that pickaxe before he actually pulls out the shotgun.
It's a little bit of BM.
A little bit of BM. A lot at stake, but still pulling out the pickaxe, BMing a little bit. That just shows confidence.
Basically saying, hey, here's a little shing, and then get back to the lobby with you.
That's right. And here we have Pleasant again. I believe we saw like 3 teams here earlier, but only 2 now. So it looks like at least one team has decided to change it up.
Icefire and Retie here in Dusty Depot. Trying to get a quick AR tap, trying to get the shields, the health off of him. The cleaner's coming on in. They're trying to pick off this teammate right here, but his teammate coming to his rescue, trying to fight for high ground.
We are very split here. You see Kutaban here, and his buddy Shaz is already in the fight. Kutaban trying to give some low ground support, but don't you think he should really make his way up there now? He does have a launch pad. He could panic.
Kutab and Shaz are extremely split here. His duo has to provide as much support for his teammate as he possibly can. He needs to get him out of there, or he needs to regroup, because right now it's a 2v1 if Shaz decides to engage Icefire and Retie.
And they do have the shield advantage here. So Shaz, as you mentioned, really needs to pull out here. We saw Kutaban throwing a clinger all the way through, kind of missed the building, but he decides to run away and leave his friend behind.
Yeah, Kutaban has the means to disengage here. He had a launch pad in his inventory. He didn't have any shield. He had 70 HP. Definitely not looking to push into a team with high ground here. Getting more health ripped off.
At this point, I think Chaz just says, hey man, just run away from here. I'll try to survive. I'll try to sneak my way out. As we see on the minimap, looks like Chaz has made his way to further into one of the hangars.
Chaz is just remaining perfectly still, hoping that that team does not find him.
I'm not quite sure if they know where he is. They are breaking the roof here. I'm not sure if it's for mats or for some more vision to trying to locate Chaz.
Just kind of slowly, prospecting the area, ripping off a wall or a ceiling or two and replacing it, trying to find that last opponent. They know that he's here for a fact, and they're just trying to find him.
And as soon as they spot him, he looks like he's making his way out now. He's in the open.
Yeah, Kutaban was a mile away now, and it's just up to him, his teammates, to try his best to regroup.
Do have a little bit of a standoff here from Heisel and an opposing team on Big Brick here. Addis FPS and Kessie just keeping the high ground, relaxing a bit. They do have a lot of mats to go for here.
Yeah, this is typical of what we've seen in Tilted all day. A team claims a building, then tries to, farm it out and establish a position on top of the building. But those clingers, they're deadly, especially for ripping off and exposing those buildings.
That's right, and the zone is in the southeastern part of the map right now, so Tilted isn't really inside, but people just take their little time there, wait a little bit, and decide to rotate out when they feel safe.
Dynamite being thrown over to Gray Building. Not going to really do much there. The Dynamite doesn't have a long reach, unfortunately, but Kessie trying to ramp out a little bit to get the Dynamite within reach, ends up throwing it over. It gets thrown back.
So a lot of things going on here. Still trying to throw some explosives over, but could just decide to run away from here. Would you rather fight here, or would you just run away and preserve your inning?
Kessie doesn't have any shield, right? So he's in a very vulnerable position here. They haven't gotten any tags on this team on Gray Brick. So, the smart play would be to just kind of avoid that team in Gray Brick and try to disengage, try to go to zone.
See Philip going down there. We have a little fight going on. Takes a hit from the RPG.
Jarkos get tagged down to 49 HP. He's almost 1 HP there, but he ends up getting saved by the team on the mountain. Quinn ends up saving Jarkos. Thanks to their third party, he's going to be able to get away, possibly with almost no HP to his name, 5 HP, a couple minis. The Stinks, the grenade launcher coming on in. Quinn trying to find that remaining opponent, but I guess they're just going to, pump the brakes a little bit, loot up their kill, and let him get away.
So as we saw, they were just hanging out on the mountain, observing the fight, and as soon as they see an opportunity to strike, just decide rush down there, clean up, pick up all the resources, boost up their morale a bit, and yeah, they should be looking pretty good right now.
Back to Icefire and Reed's tie. Looks like they lost their opponents here. They did end up getting disengaged all the way north towards Tomato.
I do hear a storming above it. We have Mokars. Is he alone? No, we have Richard here, flying a little bit behind. Making their way into the zone.
Mokars and Richard currently are first place team. Still alive, still in the game, still doing well.
Circles moving slowly over Tilted. I did see some teams in there still. We'll have to make their way out of there quickly. Not the perfect place to rotate away from. Pretty risky.
QK and Mundo here in an engagement. A team turtle right below them.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people up on this mountain actually. We do have two teams, and it is within the circle, so a little bit of a standoff here. No, it does look like the opposing team wants to finish this up. Is this a 2 versus 1?
It is a 2 versus 2.
Yeah, it is.
Grizzy on the low ground trying to get a wall replaced down there on Shadow. He ends up getting it, the pump coming on in. He gets the knock on Shadow.
Finishes him off. Looks like someone else did get knocked here. It is a 1 versus 1 right now. I'm not sure if he did get the snipe off there.
Mundo really holding the high ground. The playing third party in QK. QK goes down. It's a 1v1 now. Grisby versus Mundo. Mundo sitting on top of Grisby.
So this is really scary, right? This is the last game. They cannot make any more mistakes.
They both lost their duo here in this situation. They didn't need to take this fight. They were probably both rotating here for, a Stormwing to rotate onto later circles, get maybe a top 10 placement. But now, both solos, both kind of sitting on top of each other in this weird stalemate. First person to leave ends up getting lasers in the back. So, they got to figure out who to move first.
Oh, this is risky. Within the zone, very low, goes down after. Do you agree with that?
So Kessie ends up going down. Unfortunately, he stayed and tilted too long, waited too late to rotate out. This is them getting punished for that late rotation.
We do see two teams outside the circle. Just Hog and Leon, Zero and Leon just...
Zero deciding to stand in Storm, saying, I need to get a better angle on these teams. Need to gatekeep them as best as I can with my AR. Heisel almost going down to Storm. Heisel super weak, and it looks like everyone who was in the Storm ends up getting eliminated. Free loot for Zero and his teammate.
It really did look like they tried to rotate through the Storm there rather than just pushing up ahead, but...
Zeke, his teammate, ends up going down, ends up launch padding away and disengagement from that fight. But it now looks like it's a 2v2 here. The third party rolling on in. Hilo pressuring Icefire here in Rotai. Rotai trying his best to hold that wall. The Clingers in the ready.
Some harassment going off here. They decide to push up. They do have the Clingers. No more ammo for the nade launcher, but they decide to push up. They do have the advantage. There's a launch pad on the side.
Rokai ended up launch padding away, but Icefire was left behind. Icefire is getting pressured here with a pump. 50 HP remaining. Hilo trying to find the correct angle here, working his way with his pickaxe into the builds, trying to get it replaced. SMG spam coming in from both duos. Icefire's in trouble. Managed to get a shield, a mini off, but the Clingers start coming on in. There is 2 Clingers there. One's going to get dropped down, and Icefire ends up finding the launch pad and disengaging here, alive for now.
I'm not sure if they're still looking for him or if they must have heard him launch away. Yeah, they're just breaking everything, going for the loot, which seemed to be around there from a previous fight that we must have missed.
Mokar's here just kind of farming up. We're starting to get into that mid-game phase where everyone's just worrying about position and worrying about farming, make sure their mats are topped all the way off.
And this is only the second circle, and we are below the 70 mark. I did believe we did see about 62. Yeah, we do have 63 players. We normally see a bunch of more people within this circle, within this zone. So it could explain that. It could mean that people are actually Wing.
Richard trying to find a cheeky angle here with his AR. Simon is kind of in a pinch position here, getting his shield ripped off.
Getting some hits off here on the Stormwing.
Yeah, you definitely want to worry about your positioning when you're trying to get in zone as much as possible. You don't want to be in this pinch position like Simon. He's got 50 HP to his name, getting sprayed from 2 different angles of minigun coming on in, and he gets the knock and going to Thurston there for the elimination points. You have to be careful. You have to be aware where all teams are, and you definitely don't want to rotate in between 2 teams with windows facing you, right? Or else you end up going down like Simon.
Yeah, as soon as one team starts shooting at you, chances are a lot of other teams will pick up on it, and at that point, not too much you can do. At the very least, you will waste a lot of materials.
To your boy, Noisy and Lothar. Noisy, unfortunately, with no shield, got sunk down to 50 HP.
They pulled up miracles before, and I'm hoping they'll do it again. So no, okay, but you actually do have some action here outside the zone. Someone's getting knocked out outside the zone. I believe it was Serva.
So this is a Westworld zone. So all these teams over in Fatal Field have a long rotation to go. They're just kind of stacked on top of each other, and they need to get moving as fast as possible. Otherwise, they risk getting hit by storm damage or rotating a little bit too late. Forgoing that ideal position, there's a lot of mountains in this Westworld zone.
As you mentioned, yeah, there are a lot of mountains here. This is not a place I would want to be in the end game.
You definitely want to get on top of one of those mountains as soon as possible. You don't want to spend too much time lingering over by Fatal like some of these teams are doing. You need to move fast.
Yeah, and I do believe a lot of teams are doing just that. There are a few mountains still non-occupied, but the 2 more north, the most...
Looks like we have a 1v1 engagement here with Skosas. Smiley here trying to find the elimination. He got his shields ripped off by a third party, and he finds the tac shotgun through the window.
Oh, that was beautiful. He didn't really realize there was a window there.
You have to be aware of the windows.
Yeah.
Something cheeky like that, and you're out of the game.
Yeah. Someone will peep through, say hello, and yeah, finish off. But that was a 1 versus 1 as well, I believe.
That was a 1v1. So unfortunately, they're out of the tournament, out of Game 7. Hopefully they did well in the last 6 games to get them some sort of placement and prizing.
Look at these 2 mountains here, just at the edge of the circle. This is the best position to be when guarding the zone. Just edge guarding and...
All these teams here in gas station, the zone is about to start moving in 1 minute. They need to start thinking about moving in. There's a tunnel by Lifestar and Teak, and Makars and Rich are just kind of taking over, recycling those old builds, climbing over them, making sure they don't drop down to the same level and just kind of sit on top of them, waiting for the next circle to appear.
Recycling existing builds, I'm glad you brought it up. It's really important with mats management. It's one of my favorite things. You gotta use your materials as smart as possible to make sure that you have enough to make it to the late game.
Absolutely. Material management, especially in 1500 meta, is crucial. You have 150 builds, especially if you're carpeting endgame or if you're trying to build battle for high ground. You definitely want to make sure you go into that endgame as many materials as possible. Sure, you know, if you get an elimination, they drop 150 materials, but you can't always get to those bodies and that loot pile in time.
That's right. As you see, Circle is making its way into the zone here, and just connected. We do have a lot of teams on the edge here. Not quite sure how. What you do in this situation? Like, do you just start moving away right away? We do have a team who's in the dangerous zone of being sandwiched here.
If I had a launch pad, I would try to put it down as soon as possible. You know, this is a far zone for them. It's over to the east of Westworld in the river area. It's as far south as southeast as the zone can possibly get.
And in this part of the map, there are rifts that you can use to your advantage to get that free rotation going. I'm not quite sure if there are any rifts available at this point, but these players are experienced. If there are, they'll find them and they'll use them.
Makars and Richard trying to make their way into zone. Makars ends up getting his shield ripped off. Klinger's coming on in. The SMG, the minigun spam, the Klinger spam, pressuring them while they rotate. The other team not quite, you know, pushing them. Not quite full sending, just kind of seeing, can I get more tags? Can I get them weaker before I decide to move on in on them?
Looking at their inventory, they did have all the assets to W key and get some kills. Look at that, they do have a bunch of shields, very nice pump, minigun.
They did get them weak, but they decided not to pursue them, saying, you know, if we go that route, that side of the mountain, we're going to be in a tough situation in a valley with teams all around us. Let's just go through Westworld, utilize some of those buildings, get to zone that way. And, you know, we'll see that team in the end game.
Yeah, that's right. We see there are a lot of existing buildings here. The players can use to their advantage. If not, they can farm them, they can hide in them. My favorite would be hide in them and not really make a lot of noise because, you know, a lot of players will just double key right now and
so
get those extra...
this is exactly what I was describing earlier, right? There's a lot of buildings here in Westworld. You definitely, in one of the late games, you want to get inside of a building and recycle some of those mats. Cuba's fortunately out of the game, but his duo partner is alive. Sumeru trying to desperately make his way into zone, trying to get safe. Now a solo.
So we do see a lot of third party going on here or taking shots at players, rotating.
I think there's a player underneath the bridge, just kind of hiding there.
Under the bridge?
Yeah.
Oh, is he alone?
Yeah, I think it's a solo just kind of hiding under the bridge. Maybe like a little, you know, bridge troll, but here we are back in Westworld. A lot of buildings going up. People starting to get settled. Yeah, so it's Tuban just kind of sitting down there, hoping that no one notices him, saying, hey, you know, you guys don't want to come down here. There's not a lot of, you know, nice real estate. You just leave me alone. You know?
Just look at this map. It is on a big mountain far to the east again. Looks like the zone has been, they kept going east and east and east. And now ultimately we are at the very big mountain. So getting there first is a big advantage. Looks like some teams have already made it there. I do see Shikaru and his teammate just hanging out on the top of the mountain, and they get
Makars and Rich are making their way south. So an interesting thing about this circle is that the rifts all the way south of the river, at the end of the river, are still in play. So potentially if Richard or Makars want to make a play for that rift, they can.
Oh, that's right. We do see using the launch pad, like you mentioned, a lot of people would start using their mobility items here now to make it into the circle and to save themselves a lot of trouble.
Absolutely. Here we see Nasik and Starkso pressuring Marcos. Like I said, there are rifts available down south of that river, but no one really minding them, no one really paying attention. And
yeah, so
now
they are pretty hidden, so you might not really be aware of those rifts. Although, if you play the game a lot, as mentioned, they are really hidden. And if you don't really know this part of the map, it's hard to, yeah.
Looks like every team is trying to get an established position here on the western side of this mountain. Just kind of trying to get in, trying to get safe. Everyone kind of mountain goating on the side here. A little village popping up out of nowhere.
And that's just beautiful. This will be a big hassle for these players if the zone decides to go further out east or just northeast. And if it goes back, there's going to be a lot of existing buildings that they can use to their advantage.
Been here with a mean mint ground. He did not get the edit on that wall. He missed the opportunity for a pump.
And players will start to rotate pretty early here now, and they will start encountering each other because they're pretty much packed together.
Makars ends up getting an elimination on Quiln. I believe they're in mid-ground. So Makars, I believe, and Richard are one of our top 5 currently.
Oh yeah, so they're still in it.
Yeah, they're still currently in it.
Just pushing up. The zone is slowly making its way now. Oh, actually, slowly making its way now up north.
Skix, currently a solo, just trying to hold that wall, actually backing up behind the rock, using that natural cover, dropping down behind the rock, making sure that he doesn't give the opponents an angle. And he manages to get away unscathed down, sliding down the mountain.
Get away from their Skix. He's so low. But the longer he stays alive, the more points he gets for placement. Looks like it did go down, however, as soon as he reached the bottom of the mountain.
So here, Makar's actually leading the pack. Leading the pack all the way in the front of the circle. A couple of launch padders coming on in, beating him, but he's still in the game.
And this will be really rough for you because this is a zone where no one had previously built. There aren't a lot of buildings to utilize here to your advantage, so players will use.
You definitely want to have your duo alive here when you're carpeting. You're burning so many mats, especially when you're in a mid-ground position. At least 40 mats per carpet square.
Yeah, that's right.
So having that duo alive with those extra mats in his inventory definitely help you out in that endgame situation. But McCart and Richard still alive.
Players just cutting it short here, trying to make their way into the circle. Oh, there's an additional rift there. That was a freebie.
Sake on the high ground here, but the mountain ends up getting taken over by another team.
It's only 7 players remaining, and it does have the circles going through
6
the
players
mountain.
remaining. The mountain is claiming so many lives. Precious going down. Advise still in it. Massey is still in it. Kimson going down.
Laid back with the high ground, protected it from someone trying to rift down and claim it. But oh, beautiful shot.
Advice with the shotgun play. Going down. Cleaning up that kill nicely. Now it's a top 4 situation. He does have, a nice little piece of high ground there. Massey is deciding, all right, I'm just going to stay in front of the zone as much as possible. Let high ground deal with itself. Laid back. Ultimate high ground, just using his AR to apply as much pressure from the high ground as possible. Reloading his grenade. He has 2 grenades left. Water falling on down. Advice and Massius, they're trying to take each other out.
Oof.
Advice takes out Massius, taking out the waterfall. Laid back! Goes down to fall damage.
That was beautiful.
And it's Advice.
What an ending.
With the victory royale.
That concludes it. That was. I'm not sure how high up were he in the sky. Really, I thought he was gonna at least go down a few levels because he was really high up there.
So this is the second time we've seen, during this tournament, a player win by knocking down that waterfall, breaking out that ramp, eliminating his opponent, or, in the previous case, opponents with fall damage. So.
Yeah, back in Game 5, we did see Realtair and Icefire just minigun, in a 1 versus 2, minigun straight up the sky and just knocking down 2 players, bringing back the game.
I mean, gentlemen, it was a fantastic way to end things out today. The final game is done and dusted. And for the second time today, it is Precious and Advice who pick up the victory royale. And in the position that they were in, they could well be taking home that #1 spot. We'll have to find out. We're waiting at the moment for all the points to get tallied up. And as soon as we do get those tallied up, we will, of course, let you know who the winner is of the Polish duos today. But, gentlemen, it was close. We had Richard and Mozart. They went really late game there. They were in a great position before we kicked off. And then, as I say, Precious and Advice, what a time to pick up your second victory royale of the day.
Absolutely. Every time we tune into Mark Cause or Advise or Richard, their positioning was, par none, right? Their positioning was top tier all throughout the board. Every time we tuned in, they were ahead of the circle or going around the mountain or recycling previously, built builds. So I think that got them top 3 at the very least.
I think there was 3 of the duos there left in that final zone, in around the last top 6 play. I think pretty much all of them got in the top 6, at least top 7 there. So that makes the mathematics more difficult, of course, and whoever's doing that in League Ops at the moment, God bless, and obviously don't make sure you get it right. But what's your feeling, your sort of gut feeling on who might be taking home that first place?
Oh, that's really difficult. I mean, Wilco and Monkey, I was really hoping for them to take it home, but it's really anyone's game at this point, right? We did see it was really stacked up there in top 3, at least top 5 even. So anyone can really do it. We'll see.
Remember that there's $50,000, the prize pool for the duos today. $10,000 will be going to the duo who take home that first place. And, of course, those beautiful trophies that are sat at the bottom of the stage at the moment waiting to be picked up. I mean, what was the highlights of that final game for you?
I think that end game was a little hectic, right? Whenever you have a desert zone, there's a lot of mountains, a lot of elevation changes at play. Just, being able to utilize every single piece of mobility that you have, or, map management, especially in this zone where there's not a lot of things to farm on your way to the new circle, is really important. But again, Richard and his teammate always ahead of the pack. And that was kind of a highlight for me, to always see them with an ideal position.
It seemed like they came into the game with a game plan, didn't it? They wanted to just go end game, get into that top 5 position. They thought that maybe that would get the job done for them. And as you say, it seemed like they weren't interested in taking too many fights. They just wanted to get that placement, and it could have been the decision at the start of the game that's worked out for them. I mean, Martin, what was your thoughts on how they played that one?
I mean, they played it beautifully, right? They did not only manage to bring home 1 game, but 2. So whatever they were doing, I mean, it worked, right? So yeah, I'm just.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And we talked about consistency. The players have talked about consistency. And it's one thing that they have done today, is be incredibly consistent across the day. But, I mean, that's the first time that we've seen the second victory royale being taken in 7 games that we've had today by the same duo. So you have to feel like, with the nobody having a monster game eliminations-wise, that has to put them in good stead, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, they did well. They stay composed, like I said. They should just be really happy right now. And like we mentioned, this is a really good spot for you to make a name for yourself, right?
Well, here's some of the replays, obviously, from our final game of the day, this game number 7. Talk us through some of these plays, because, we did see players get a little bit more aggressive. There was a little bit more holding forward and trying to get involved in the battles.
That's what I was talking about early on, right? In the first 6 games, we saw players going for placement. They want to get as many points on the board as possible. A new mechanic got introduced around game 5 or 6, Storm Surge, thinning out the crowd, making sure that if you don't have player damage, you're going to be punished for it. So, now the game style has to change. Now we have to W key, we have to put some player damage on the board, or else we end up, being punished. So we definitely, these players definitely came into game 7 with that mentality, saying we need as many points on the board. Placement points, yes, but also elimination points, as many as possible.
And what's going through your head as a player in those final moments? If you're in that final, say, top 3 group, and does the communication get a little bit hectic, or is it just a case of try and stay as calm as possible and just see this game out and place as well as possible? Not even go for the victory royale, just make sure that you get into that stage where you're at least in contention.
Yeah, as it's duos, right? You need to stay synced with your duo, because you can have different opinions what to do. Like, someone might want to W, someone might want to just chill a bit and go for placement. So you really need to make sure that you're on the same level and just, yeah.
Okay, well, good news, gentlemen. We have our winner. It is time to reveal who has won the Polish Duos Day here at the Katowice Royale, and I can happily reveal it is. Double checks his notebook. Richard and Mozart, congratulations to those two. They are your Polish duo champions for today. Fantastic performance in that final game for them. Getting to that end zone, getting to that late game, and picking up those placement points is what saw them through to it. So congratulations to those 2 gentlemen. They are your champions of today. The fantastic moment of picking up those trophies. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for these 2, your duo champions of the Katowice Royale.
Wow. This is amazing. Look at this. All these fireworks. Congratulations. You are our duos champions. Katowice, Poland. I mean, guys, you must be so, so happy. We saw you here after game 2. How are you feeling right now?
It's very nice. I cannot explain this. I didn't expect to be first place right now.
I mean, you won the second game today. Obviously, you've been consistent the whole day. You've continued to play very, very well. What do you think you did so well today?
Maybe positioning, game sense. I don't know what to say. I'm just really happy.
I'm so glad you are. What do you think you did so well today?
I think our rotations just give us very nice points, and we tried to play smartly and play for some placement and eventually for kills.
The trophies look amazing. Are they quite heavy, or are they?
Yeah, it's really heavy.
They're really heavy. Okay, and what? Obviously, you are $10,000 richer as well, coming first place. Can you believe that amount of money?
I don't know. I always play on this bad computer, but right now I can borrow no one.
Obviously, you know, this together as a duo as well, moving forward, obviously this is a great accolade to you both, that you continue to be a team. How great is it to play with each other? How much do you enjoy playing together?
I feel we started playing like 3 months ago, and we're starting to make very nice points on these cups and tournaments, and it did pretty well. We have some like top 5 expect from this tournament, and I didn't expect the first one.
In terms of the tournament as well, obviously these amazing fans, the amazing day you've had. Have you enjoyed your experience at Katowice Royale so far?
Yeah, I never been in Katowice ever, but right now I'm very, very happy. This place is very awesome.
Amazing. Are you looking forward to the rest of the weekend, to tomorrow as well?
For tomorrow, yeah. Yeah, we are playing solos tomorrow.
Well, best of luck there as well, guys. Congratulations once more. Make some noise for your winners, guys. Give a big round of applause. Congratulations. You guys nailed it. Well done. What a day it has been. Duos, there we go. We have our champions right here. They absolutely smashed it. For me and the stage, that is it for today. But we're back tomorrow, of course, with solos. We'll see these guys again. For now, though, let's head back to Mark, back to the desk, and find out what they made of our champions' performance today.
Thank you very much, Adam, and what a performance it was, gentlemen. Coming out of nowhere at certain points after picking up that victory royale in the second game of the day, they managed to get that placement in that final game. Those guys, you can tell, they're lost for words.
Absolutely, it's well-deserved. They definitely worked hard for it, definitely scrimmed a long time and, you know, devoted their time to competitive Fortnite, and now it's paying off.
I think one of my favorite things from that interview there is, like, normally I play on quite a bad computer, but I've just won $10,000. So now I'm going to be playing on a much better computer, which is a fantastic thing to take away from this, right? Yeah,
it just makes you happy when the money will actually matter for them. You know, like they can actually do something with it. They can improve his gameplay and just keep on. Yeah, that's what it's all about, right? Just keep pushing on and yeah.
Yeah, we love to see the money, obviously, that's available being reinvested, and, you know, he's looking to push his career even further on, as we obviously do have some of the highlights, as you can see at home, from some of the plays we saw today. That, of course, was that game number 2, Victory Royale, excuse me. And you always feel like if you can get a big win under the belt in an early game in the tournament, obviously we had 7 rounds today, that might have been the moment where they were like, we've got this, guys. You know, it gives you that belief to go on in the next few games, and you kind of have your own fate in your own hands.
It definitely calms the nerves a little bit. It relieves the pressure that a tournament like this puts on you, right? Saying, all right, we have a nice, comfortable lead. We have a couple games to go. We don't have to do anything crazy. We just, you know, slow play this. Don't change anything up, because what we are doing is working.
And don't choke. That's the most important thing. Martin, what obviously impressed you the most as we have a look at the final standings here, but those 2 names at the top there, what impressed you most about these 2 players today?
Just how they seem to always know where their team are. Like, when they went into a fight, they stay composed. They seem to know exactly where they're at, where the other person were, right? They could push in from sides, not really taking any big risks, but yeah, just total in sync, and they've only been playing for 3 months.
Yeah, that's pretty insane to me. You know, 3 months might sound like a long time, but you compare it to how long some duos have been together, and it's like, Yeah, they're basically just, been on for a night out together, isn't it? It's kind of that sort of, we don't know each other that well yet, but I'm sure they will know each other even better after a couple more performances like that. But you can see as we go all the way down through the duo standings, a lot of teams get a lot of points on the board. It was very tight, gentlemen, and that kind of sets us up nicely for the solos tomorrow, of course, where, we're going to have teammates of today going up against each other a little bit, which, maybe Richard and Mozart might have a little bit of a friendly rivalry going on, shall we say?
Yeah, tomorrow teammates will be enemies, and there's no way to prepare for that. You can obviously scrim, but things kind of change up, especially in this format where kills, eliminations all matter. And you might be during a rotation, spot your teammates, say, hey, that's a nice juicy 5 points right there.
Okay, yeah. Final thoughts on today, Martin. Obviously, it's been a fantastic day. It's been a long one, but we have our first champion of what is going to be an incredible couple of weeks of Fortnite here. Your final thoughts?
I'm just happy we got to see so many circles move through mountains, so the zone could be the top eliminator.
Okay, well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on the desk today. And thank you all for joining us and sticking with us through the early games this morning. We got back on track. We brought you some fantastic action. And, of course, we have crowned our duos a champion of today. That's going to do it all for today, though. Tomorrow, though, we'll be back. And, of course, it will be solos action once again. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.